I guess it's me. Hey, everybody. Welcome to, what are we called anymore? I know this is the men's room. I'm your horrible guest host.
Friday night with the men's room.
Friday night with the men's room. And I am Channel Dad, your once and future old man hosting. So, former host of the fan cast and brewer of beers, and soon what they call around here moonshine, but don't let the revenuers know. So joining me, trying to push buttons and fill in for the other side of Seth's duties, Tommy.
Hey everybody, it's Friday. Thank you for joining me with the men's room. We're gonna have a good show. And up next is from down under, David Applegate.
G'day, fans, air conditioners, and other cool units. Welcome to another fine episode of the men's room.
All right.
And those who didn't show up, shame on you. Except for Seth, he's got
and I'll eat in everyone's ear. So I'm slowly getting my stuff in order. I realized the other day that if I get some shelves, I get some of these boxes out of the way that you can't see, and the two dogs that are want me to share my chips. Until it gets too hot, I can shoot beer reviews up here and have that as my background. But I really need to figure out how to use my phone, since it has a better dynamic range than my digital SLR. So I want to have the mountains in the background.
I got a better idea for you.
Okay.
And this is a lot better idea. Do you know what an Xbox Connect is?
Mm-hmm.
Use that as a webcam. You'll get a huge span of footage, very detailed.
Good wide angle.
And with your computer, you can adjust how wide you want the view or how concentrated you want it.
So how do I control that, though?
So when you get the Connect, you go on Amazon and get the Connect to PC adapter.
Got one of those.
Okay. And then you go and you go on and download a program. I have to find you the program. And you can adjust it to where you can actually use the features like infrared, the dots, and everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, somewhere, I think it was an Xbox 360 Connect. Yeah. We tried to do a poor man's version of motion capture many years ago. Man, I don't even know what boxes that crap's in now.
See, I got the one for the Xbox One.
Yeah.
And I haven't decided if I'm going to use it for a webcam or a 3D scanner.
Because I think it goes in the USB 3 port, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to see if I can find all that crap. Because that's part of my problem with my current camera is my dynamic range just isn't good enough, and it's just too bright behind me. Because, I mean, we face southeast, so it's sunny all day.
Oh,
Plus, I do it right before sunrise, in which case it's incredible. How do I do that?
Do what?
Let me see if I can share something. It's a picture.
The share button. Geez, what is it? Present.
Yeah. You have no slides.
Share screen. Wants you to do audio.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I got to find out where it is.
Yeah, if you want to try that, I'll send you the...
Oh, it doesn't like that file.
Oh.
But so if I guess I'll just share screen.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me hide my porn first. No.
Yeah, share screen doesn't always like it when you try to share Chrome or anything big or anything full screen.
Yeah.
Little windows.
It's showing. Well, what is that? This is preview is the name of the program. It's not showing up.
Yeah. Project. Did you?
Oh, there. Well, maybe this is it. Maybe this will work. You see anything? Oh, here we go. Can I? There you go.
There you go.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
That's yesterday morning, right before sunrise.
Oh wow.
So, and that's kind of east southeast. So east is a bit more to the left. Kind of in that looks like there's a little dip in the valley where there's a little bit of gold. Southeast is a little bit more to the right. But this time of year, the sun doesn't rise in the east; it rises in the southeast. It hasn't moved far enough yet.
Oh,
Once it gets, I mean, you see it like that, but it's not up over the mountains yet.
yeah. So, question for you: when you moved out there, did they like have that whole "round here we vote a certain way" kind of deal? See, I was curious because, like even Joe Rogan, when I watch his streams, he goes, "When you move down here, you need to vote a certain way."
I've heard of that happening in Austin, and I've heard that happening in some parts of Texas. I haven't heard. I've heard Florida. They do it in Miami-Dade, but that's about it.
That's a Democrat thing, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, there are people
really
that fly. There are people that fly. I mean, the guy down the bottom of the hill
in.
on the side of his barn, he's got a painted, the rebel
It's a
flag.
Democrat country, yeah.
And then there's a guy that flies that, and there's a farm. When you drive into town, there's a guy that flies an American flag, and the police, back the blue flag. And you go around, and there's a Baptist church, and right across the street, the guy flies a Confederate flag in the back, the blue flag. And yeah, it's pretty much if you respect people, they'll respect you back. You disrespect them, no one will ever see you again. It's pretty much that. The sheriff will help them bury the bodies. So the first few times I went to the store and people were open carrying, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But now it's,
oh wow,
it's like, how come you're not? Where's your gun? Yeah. People have at least 2, if not more, in their car.
In the Southern District of Florida, they got a freshman Democrat, one of the few in Florida now, and he's having a hissy fit that most of his area is open carry because it's one of the few flips. But did you hear about the town in New Jersey? Did you hear what happened yesterday?
No.
A mayor flipped to Republican, and the 6 councillors, it's only a small town, they've got like 6 councillors, all flipped with him. The whole town flipped Republican.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's sort of like an acknowledgement how they won the last, but then the local DNC said, oh, but don't forget we won the last election. Last 2 elections. But yeah, I don't think you won those last 2 elections, lady. I think you just had a shredder.
Yeah. Well, I saw something. One of the lawsuits out, was it Arizona? Is that Maricopa County, where the irregularities of the voting is?
Maricopa is. Maricopa goes all the way back to Gore v. Bush.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but there was something. I thought there was some other.
Dade in Maricopa,
where they were like, "Hey, we gotta redo the election."
Arizona, they tried that, but it didn't. They didn't come up with enough irregular votes.
Yeah,
they had some, but not enough, according to the judge.
Oh, okay.
All they did is prove that some people didn't fill in a form right, or something.
And that's bound to happen.
Yeah, but appeal later. I think Carrie's just going to wear them down, and come next election, she'll probably pick up more votes, and they'll have to try harder. But the 3 to watch is Nevada, Arizona, and I think, definitely funny business going on there in northern Florida.
Yeah.
California's just totally cut. Nobody does a thing. Nobody's going to do a thing.
Yeah. Well, what did I see yesterday about somewhere in California? Maybe it was today. Some city council, and it wasn't a big city, unanimously voted to switch from, I guess it's natural gas to hydrogen power.
Yeah, I heard something about that, and the state's flipping out because it's not EPA approved or something.
Yeah. Well, hydrogen actually,
because they get the gas from the state. That's what that's the
Oh.
dirty secret in California. Is it's the state. You know, it's a collaboration between the state and the Rothschilds. I mean, this mysterious energy
Collaboration.
organization. Yeah,
it just looks like
yeah.
kickbacks, but it's collaboration.
Yeah, because this is the same gas they're trying to sell to France. It's three times the global price. Oh, but it's Enron, and and it's a collaboration. Yeah,
Well, Enron, aren't they? Then they go out of business.
What do you think happened after they went out of business? Somebody else just moved in, right?
Yeah. Toby, what do you want? So, did you guys hear that apparently Luke Skywalker is gay, and so is Obi-Wan, and
that's a surprise to Mara.
That
Mara Jade.
Some activist has figured it all out, and now they're redoing all of the sexualities of all.
That's right. It's called the
It's
inclusive.
David.
Inclusive. That's it. I thought it was diversity. Come on. I can't
Diversity,
keep up with all the buzzwords.
Inclusion, compassion, and kindness in comics. I haven't listened to a Cecil video in a long time. Does he even still wear the mask? Anyway, so what do you think? I mean, what is the?
Is
Disney's just going to let this go until they're completely out of business?
I think so, because have you seen the Loud and Proud family?
I mean, they had something else that just launched and it went.
Yeah, the Proud Family, the new show about slavery on Disney Plus. They already lost 1.5 million subscribers. They're going for another. Reparations. Slavery built America, really? So slaves built that. So I thought Irish workers built the Boston Bridge and the what's it? The New York Tunnel and World Trade Center. Were they built by slaves? Were they? That's news to all those construction workers, isn't it?
Did any of y'all watch the Grammys?
I like Freedom Tune's response to that. It's just one big attention whore, and nobody cares.
So they did like this satanic devil part in it.
Yeah, but Madonna did it better.
And then right afterwards, like as soon as it ended, it said "Brought to you by Pfizer."
Yeah, I didn't even know the Grammys were on until I saw all of the stuff on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, that was what." I mean, I can't remember the last time I don't know if I ever watched the Grammys. I used to watch a little bit of the time to pay the doggy tax. The Oscars, but that would have been like in the 80s, maybe early 90s at the latest. I mean, eventually I didn't care. Half of my, there'd be movies I never heard of or didn't watch. And
I think they're trying to
come on. Madonna did it better.
Now.
Yeah. But there's no shock value in it. Marilyn Manson, Madonna, and Beyonce all did it better.
Yeah, even if you wasn't a Christian,
I know it's to numb you to Satanism.
This anti-Christian things that are going on, why? Like, I wouldn't support anti-Muslim, anti-Jewish. I wouldn't support any of that.
You get into trouble for those. You don't get into trouble for anti-Christian. You don't get into trouble for anti-white.
They're saying, what do they call it? The culture war. That they've won the culture war because they're able to do stuff like that now.
Yeah, because they control the industry.
They've been able to do that kind of stuff since the 80s. I mean, you had the Piss Christ and all these things that was at the late 80s.
Yeah, Piss Christ was
all these things making fun of Christianity. It's like, so you get a preacher that burns the Quran, and then every Muslim wants to kill him.
Yet Muslims, commit atrocities every day, and everybody's like, "Oh, but don't touch them, don't criticize them. It's repressing brown people."
Right. You have the ADL, but you don't have them. You sort of did with the
for a while. You had the Defense League.
Well, what was the moral majority? Was that Swaggart?
But then Swaggart turned out to be a big,
I know. That was the
hypocrite.
thing, is that it's a lot of the loudest voices were, they should have, they were casting stones from their glass house.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I agree with you, David. It doesn't have any shock value anymore. We've seen it. You had some of that stuff in the 70s. You had it in the 80s. By the time you get to Madonna's sex book, it's pretty much, okay, now are you going to literally chop an arm off on stage? I mean, that would be shocking, I guess. Well, then there was a video I saw today where Lady Gaga had somebody on stage throwing up on her. And that was what they were saying. But I'm looking at this, I'm like, it's bright green. What the heck is that? And I don't want to know.
Living Dead did it better. Was it Living Dead? No. Well, they had the
hold on, I got to show the dogs that my bowl is empty.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Was it Living Dead where they had the no, not Living Dead. The Exorcist, the vomit scene in The Exorcist did it better.
Yeah. So it's like they're
bacon and beans, baby. The best.
They're copycatting, recycling, and I actually the thing with Pfizer, I saw, I kept seeing the video, and finally I listened a little bit, and I was like, this is horrible. I mean, it wasn't even decent. The guy can't rap. He can't. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I agree. Marilyn Manson did it better, and who's that? Alice Cooper did it better a long time ago.
Well, see, here's one issue I think's going on now. See, there's no more surprises in my book. It seems like with movies, you would wait a year for a movie to come out to get a surprising twist. But you got people that are like famous YouTubers that will do idea after idea after idea.
No, not even that. That's 10 years ago. Today, they just call up the studio and get the answers from their friends.
Yeah.
Insiders. Most of your big YouTubers now are all plugged in.
But you got the same people making the movies. All the movies are going to like the same college, learning the same thing. So of course everything's going to seem like the
Berkeley.
same.
They all go to Berkeley. They've all been coming out of Berkeley since the 70s. They've been squeezing all the other film schools out for a long time.
Like Evil Dead. Was that it? I think it was Evil Dead. The guy that made that didn't even go to college. I think that's why it was so unique. But I may be wrong about that. He may have went to college.
Well, you just need to understand some film techniques and then start knowing how to apply them. You don't really need to go to film school. That kind of came out of the whole notion that you had to go to college to make something to yourself, which was true for unskilled labor. But then, or if you wanted to do skilled labor, right? You wanted to be a scientist, or, I mean, think of what people used to go to college and study. If you're going to be a professor, you might study humanities or something, or English. They didn't have these. There were a handful of degrees that you could say would be tough to make a living off of. And then people started going
liberal arts.
Yeah, well, right. And then people start going to college just to have a piece of paper on the wall.
Yeah.
And none of other, maybe some of the advanced English and grammar they might learn.
Well, when
they would utilize, but that's it.
When it really took off is when Harvard and Stanford and all those bought out the medical schools. and took them over, rebranding all the medical schools. That's when colleges started to make lots of money, and they started petitioning the government to have more and more skill recognition courses, and that's when they took over the teaching colleges. I was actually at a technical school, and it was taken over by a university, and they kicked me out because I no longer met their qualifications or minimum subject levels, and of course they also wanted $100,000 fee.
Yeah. Well, when I went to school, I went to the University of Tennessee, and at the time, computer science was in the liberal arts college, and most of what I hated, the classes I liked the least were all the liberal arts type stuff. Now, it's a college with the electrical engineering, computer science came together, but still, you have all this extraneous garbage, and you go to Europe and you get the same degree in 3 years. And here you're lucky to do it in 4 or 5 because there's so much garbage that you have to take so that they can justify having.
College and do it in 2.
Yeah, it's like this extra stuff is that you have to take. So we have an enrollment in women's studies and urban studies. We have a college of urban studies, and like, what is it? 3 courses? But to say you got to invent all this crap, and then you got to make students take it because they're not going to if left on their own.
And then you force them to believe and speak a certain way in every other subject to guarantee these subjects are institutionalized.
Yeah,
it's like it's called institutional Marxism. If you study how subjects are entwined in colleges these days, where let's say you want a gaming degree, so they'll start you off simple, right? Simple programming, the game loop, graphics, color saturations, color palettes, but then they'll hit you with psychology stuff, right?
Yeah.
The psychology of gaming, and then they come in sideways with the identity politics.
Yeah. Well, and I saw the early stage of this in the late 80s in some of the classes I had to take, and there you go. Why isn't he on? And I remember trying to explain it to my dad, and he was in school during Vietnam was going on. And he's like, I had to dodge these protesters going to class. And I'm like, yeah, but now the protesters are in charge. Yeah. It's 20 years later. And that was 40 years ago. It's like, it just went downhill fast after that.
Yeah, because this is what they did. They overloaded the teaching colleges with lots of activists because once they got in charge of enrollments, they filtered everybody out by saying, oh, you need extracurricular studies. And they filtered all those people out who didn't get involved in protests. And then they basically took all the extraneous wackadoos that they couldn't put in the government and into college. And so now it's just one big Nepo baby machine where all the Nepo babies are coming in now.
Unavoidably hung up. I don't know. Sorry, man.
Too busy, yep.
So how much more money there you go. How much more money does Disney need to lose before they have to sell Fox and Star Wars?
I hope they do.
Fox?
I hope it's tomorrow.
Well, if they can't sell Fox unless they default on the payments, because remember they paid for half, right, up front. They put $3 billion in cash, the rest in shares, right? Half of the company for half, and then the rest of the company is in a gradual takeover or something like that. I don't know. I've heard different stories, but according to CNN Business, if the Fox is their most vulnerable property right now because it's their lead, it's because they've got hundreds of IPs that are falling towards that. They can't renew.
Yeah.
Well, one thing
and if they lose them
for it was sports, but right now
that's why they wanted it. They wanted all of the Fox.
Yeah. The rating system's going downhill. You're seeing more people watch UFC fights than football games now.
Yeah. There were 1 million people who tuned in to watch 2 guys slap each other.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That
made more money than the WNBA.
I don't understand that.
One episode made more money than the entire
I don't
WNBA
understand
in
that
the year.
sport.
So they want to ban it because it's slapping. I don't understand it. This is the problem.
It's people that was not good enough to do any UFC fighting.
Doesn't matter. It's
So
they're freaking adults.
I know.
They're freaking adults, and I don't care if they get a brain injury or not. Then that's when you step in and say, right, you either got to put up lots of insurance, follow these rules. But there's just too many Karens out there who say it encourages kids. Kids don't need encouragement to slap each other.
No.
Well, see, my problem with the whole it's encouraging kids, it's up to the parent to censor to some extent.
Teach them not to do it.
Because if it's controlling the kids, then you can't have wrestling, you can't have UFC, you can't have drag racing, you can't have NASCAR, you can't have anything because all that's going to be encouraging.
I hate the fact growing up that one Karen in the neighborhood was managed to bully and bastardize every other mother, including my own, and to stop letting kids play cowboys and Indians or toy soldiers or any of that.
Well, see, just like they blame everything as soon as possible, they try to blame everything on video games, any kind of violence that a kid shows.
Yeah, those cavemen were all passive. They didn't have any video games. They were all living in freaking paradise.
But I played video games. I played Doom. I played Grand Theft Auto, everything.
I played banned video games, and look at me.
Well, but the thing is I could tell the difference between reality and not reality.
And people who can't
Tom and Jerry and stuff back in, and we knew you wouldn't survive if an anvil fell on your head like it did the cat.
I actually get why there were a few things banned, but those were dangerous objects. They should never have been sold to kids, like metal darts or those tiny thumb explosives. They're really powerful, but they're really small. Those should have been sold to nobody.
Well,
but the problem is, as soon as Karen's got something right, that was the end of it because they never stopped since.
Well, I will say this much. I've seen what my kids have the choice of watching now, and it's 100% just fart jokes. That's all it is for kids shows now. Just nothing but fart jokes.
Oh, yeah, that's the Rem and Stimpy era. Rem and Stimpy, although they call it pretty much, depends on who you ask, whether it's Rem and Stimpy or South Park. What's the other one? Beavis and Butthead.
Well, it was funny you say all them shows because did you know SpongeBob was first pitched to be an adult cartoon, not a kid's cartoon?
Yeah, it was actually pitched for the 7:30 slot for Nickelodeon when they first started to be the lead up to Nick at Night.
Yeah.
And it was actually meant to be rather raw.
It was supposed to be more like a South Park kind of vibe to it.
Yeah. I don't think they colorized the first edition. I don't think they did more than a couple of concepts.
Yeah.
But it has been leaked. I'm not interested in SpongeBob. I saw a couple of episodes and I thought, man, this is really dumbing down the masses. It is really dumb.
So, Channel Dad, I got a question for you.
All right.
So, you have a kid. Are
you asking me or telling me?
No, I'm asking.
Let's check. Is it yours?
You have a kid. I have a kid. David, you have a kid. Do you think we're going to leave them with a good place? Do you think?
I think they're going to blame us
when we all pass.
Well, we already got them on TikTok, right? Blaming us, but it's not really us. It's the generation before us who really dropped the ball. They're the ones in charge. They're getting old, and they're losing their grip on power. And
I don't know. Our generation before us were like us. At least they knew how hard work.
Generation.
They knew how to get stuff done.
I'm the generation before you, Tommy.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And I'm giving you a compliment there.
Well, see, Gen
Y'all knew
Xers.
what work was.
The problem is the baby boomers didn't go away. And really the
baby boomers took over, became
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. They went from being the workforce to the what do you call it? The investment class. When they retired, they became the investment class.
Became
and that's
the
when the economy started to, because they started that was in the 80s. They became the investment class in the 80s, and that's when they started all this huge leverage on everything.
Yeah.
And they bankrupted the economy how many times since?
Yeah. And then Gen Xers, we were brought up on Russia's going to nuke us Soviet Union's going to nuke us any day now. Social Security is going to run out of money. There's no real future. And so we just kind of lived our lives and didn't, you don't bother me, I don't bother you. And unfortunately, now we have the boomers and the millennials kind of going at it. And it's like, we just want them all. We just want them all to shut the fuck up and sit down. Both of them.
The boomers funded them. The thing is, the boomers tried to fund the millennials and they sort of took hold. But what's happened is the boomers have really started to get to the middle-aged. That's where they're really succeeding, is the middle-aged activist. The white college liberal whose arts degrees are meaningless.
Yeah. Well, the 30 and 40-year-old Karens. But, I mean, we grew up latchkey kids. We'd come home from school. Mom's working, dad's working. We're running around the yard, but there's no one around, and every once in a while somebody would disappear. But
it wasn't as bad as it was in the 90s is when things really started to get bad.
Yeah.
The Gen X coming into the early millennials, they were the horrors.
What caused that, though? Because
okay, for 40 to 60 years, fear and destruction. We lived with this idea, this notion of nuclear bombs are going to wipe us out. So many people just grew up dark. They have nothing to look forward to, and they have and then with the boomers destroying the economy in the 80s, you started to have more and more young men without jobs, wives, and kids. So they started turning to the only thing they had as an outlet, at political violence. And because political violence was acceptable on the left, that's how the left grew.
I'm curious if I was able in the 90s to go out. My mom and dad worked, so I was home alone. But I had brothers and sisters. But a lot of people nowadays just have one or two kids.
Mostly one.
Sometimes gap kind of farther apart.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why you can't let your kids out to play now?
No, it's a society gripped by fear. Now that we don't have the TV, instead of the TV telling us to fear the nuclear bomb, the TV is telling us to fear the Chester, the Jeffrey Epsteins and Chesters, But unfortunately, what they're doing is exploiting it politically to say fear this one group and ignore the other group because they're on our side.
Yeah.
So back to my original question: do you think society is going to get better or worse?
Worse before it gets better, because once the younger generation realize once the younger generation don't have the boomers overshadowing them, they will start to become investor classes, and then they will not want things like the Ukraine war. They won't want the constant meddling in each other's affairs, because for so long, most children have been telling us all they want to do is be left alone. They don't want to be told to shave their hair or to color their hair or to exercise or not to exercise, because they can't trust anybody. Because everybody, my son.
I think you would be right, David, if it wasn't for the internet. And the only reason I say that is because you're working with a new environment. Now, I know we had internet for a while
TikTok,
now,
but yeah.
But it's expanded to where ideas, especially from crazy people, thrive more now than it did back then.
Yeah, but the thing is, the crazy people are going to fight each other, and the popularity and the successful people are going to start becoming more and more popular. Look, this is what happened in the 70s. When in the 70s, musicians used to be popular because of talent. But then you had bigger and bigger shows. And
Does anybody really remember the 70s though?
No. No. Talented musicians didn't last. It was those who sold out to corporations first. They got the big contracts. They got the big shows. They got the TV appearances. But of course, it was the big sellout already started in the 50s and 60s. Payola. Remember the Payola scandal in the 80s? Yeah. That started with the Beatles. They bought their popularity. They bought their way onto various shows. They bought their way onto airtime. And another one infamously accused of buying his career and is that guy in New York. Rather irrelevant mouthpiece that doesn't have a very big audience. It gets hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, Stern?
Stern, that's it. Stern.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that big an audience.
Well, he's on satellite radio now.
He's on lots of radio stations, but nobody's listening. Hardly anybody listens.
Howard Stern pisses me off because he used to go for free speech. Like he was
he sold out.
Control and everything. He was your true definition of like what rock and roll is. But now that he's made money and he's got a little bit of power, he wants control. He wants censorship. Like,
he wants to roll up the rug and pull up the ladder so nobody can come after him. Because that's the boomer generation. As soon as they became the investor class, they tried to gobble up as much as they can so that nobody else can become rich. And we're seeing that play out now with what? The number of billionaires is actually decreasing for the first time. Not by much, but it's decreased. The concentration of wealth is at its all-time high. That's not going to last. It's unsustainable because most of it's inflation. And also, boomers die. Triple jabbed or not. Just
I
allegedly is faster than the other.
I want to move to another subject. I'm curious about y'all's because I've been thinking about this for a while. Do you think within the next 10 years World War III will really kick off, or you think it's just going to be a Cold War?
I think Orwell's right. It's going to be Cold War for the next decade, for decades.
What do you think, Blake?
I don't know. China seems to be really gearing up for something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think.
Well,
I think if it's really going to become inflamed, I think it's not going to take 10 years. It's going to take maybe 6 months. Because Russia is reportedly moving a lot of equipment onto Ukraine. You've got all of these Western nations, U.S. and Germany and I think Poland. They're sending all this crap into the Ukraine.
It really is crap. I mean,
I think it's just we'll know soon if it's either going to if not then it's just going to be cyber attacks and all kinds of things back and forth.
Canada shipped one tank to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like one tank. I mean, wow. Not even a modern tank.
I'm kind of thinking Lapes, right? It's going to happen within the next 6 months. But I do know the military's talking about changing their camo again. I know when we go too close to a depression, there's actually a push for war.
Oh,
actually,
it's when all else fails, they take you to war.
Yeah, and it's a great distraction if you got.
Well, it's distraction. They've got trillions of dollars that they've stolen that they have to hide.
Yes.
The only way you can get away with it is to not have anybody asking for the money back.
Yeah. So anyway, can we get back to Star Wars? At some point, I got to let the dogs out, though.
Sorry,
So
I did ask. Was that guy the Wikipedia editor or the Reddit guy from Star Wars Reddit?
I think I've seen both. I've seen links going to both,
and they're going backwards and forwards. That's what I think. I think they've got some sort of pull at not Filoni level, but at the writing block level, and they have a direct ear to Kathleen Kennedy because she seems to be nodding along with everything that they're coming out with.
Yeah,
but that's what I mean about activists. You don't need a conspiracy. You just need the right people at the right place, ready to activate at the right time to push an agenda.
But
and the people below you have to follow orders.
Fast. This is what I think is going to happen. They're pushing their agenda too fast for one. They're overspending for their agenda. So people are going to stop watching Disney. Disney's going to go bankrupt, and that's going to hurt them a lot.
No, because their ultimate goal is to destroy all corporations from within and from without. They don't care if the corporation loses money. Like Blake said, they've stolen billions of dollars, destroying the corporation.
The activists don't care, but the stockholders
investor
of Disney
class,
yeah,
but the investor class don't have the power. All they could do is write out the bankruptcy, break up the assets, and rebuild.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, too often somebody will come along with fake money from the government and pretend to be a real corporation, BlackRock, and push an agenda. And BlackRock at the last minute will always manage to dump their shares and pull out when the company collapses. BlackRock. I mean, three most prominent questions in investing today. Who's behind it? Why are they? What exactly? How are they actually making their money when the market's going down? And ultimately, where did all their money come from? And when you can't answer those questions, it's another. It's another Enron, another what's before Enron, I forget, but Enron was created by the government. They're all created by the government. WorldCom, they're all created by the government.
Yeah.
They're all created by the government. They come out of nowhere, suddenly have lots of money, and
why did they go after Star Wars?
It's popular.
They always aim for the top.
Popular with men more than women.
Well, put it this way: when you have these neo-Marxist wackadoos, they're going to go after things that are popular, and so it's almost like the wave just keeps on rolling, right? So it's Star Wars this week. Next week, they're gonna do an LGBTQ version of The Simpsons or something. I mean, it'll just keep on.
Black version of The Simpsons, black version of Flintstones is actually next, but
the stuff that is privately held, like things like Beavis and Butthead, as long as, or even some of the stuff that J.K. Rowling has talked about with the Harry Potter things, it's like there's certain aspects that they're gonna kind of hold, but again, they kind of created this monster and this big snowball, and it just keeps picking up chunks of pop culture, and at some point it's either gonna go off the cliff like the coyote, or it'll hit something that it can't pick up and it'll break apart.
So I'm not a Harry Potter fan at all. Mm-hmm. I think it's Star Wars with shitty lightsabers. Backstory's close. Backstory's really close with them too.
Yeah. Well, it's a plagiarism of 13 childhood stories. So, including one called Harry Potter.
But when the left said they're going to boycott the Harry Potter game because one of the people doesn't agree with the LGBT, and
which is funny because it actually has a trans character in it.
Anybody that streams playing with it, they're going to boycott them. Makes me want to play the game.
Well, that's
just
part of
to
the marketing.
Boost the sales up.
That's part of WB's marketing. They've capitalized on that. They were behind the push to make sure that everybody knew that they made sure that nobody knew that it had woke characters in it. They made sure they elevated through their paid shills on YouTube. They created the controversial marketing that everybody's trying to boycott it. And actually, boycott Hogwarts was going nowhere. Twitter never had it trending until after WB got involved.
What was it? I'm drawing a blank. I can see a picture of the guy. There was a guy who said the worst thing about the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. So anyway, Anime Night joined us, and we just kind of ignored him for 5 minutes.
What's up, man?
Hi guys. No, I'm just listening. Like I listen and observe. So if I'm quiet, it's not that I'm ignoring or I don't know what to say. It's just I'm listening because I'm that intrigued.
Well, right. So we're talking about the I don't know if it's Reddit or Wikipedia or whatever.
You mean the clusterfuck that is Wikipedia.
Yeah, LGBTQ
well,
plus Star Wars characters.
I think it's a blue hair and a purple hair playing off each other.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Throwing ideas, spitballing.
I used to respect Wikipedia because there were often times, like if there were Star Wars discussions, I would go back and double check which timeline we're at. Because ever since they changed it to Legends, which will never not be funny. It will never not be funny. It's the expanded universe. Let's keep it consistent, people. Whoever decided to name that legend should be fired. But at the same time, it's like I didn't even realize Wikipedia had people behind it. I thought it was just like a small. I thought it was like a parody site of Wikipedia, but
no, they have a genuine staff. They are paid by Lucas.
That's where I thought I smelled a paper trail. I thought I smelled one. I'm like, yeah, there's no way.
If anybody believes that Reddit mods aren't paid by they are smoking dope, because all the top Reddit mods, they extort advertising fees from Reddit, from the companies and those boards. The Division Reddit board has actually been exposed that he's actually the Reddit mod for Division is actually a Ubisoft employee. So they're not Reddit is not a independent site. They have been.
How dare you!
Reddit has been exposed, but because the FCC doesn't want to. Go after corporate fraud or false advertising. They don't care, They don't care what Reddit bullshits, I mean,
I remember at a time when Reddit and Tumblr were like the main underground stuff. Now it's like weird.
Mainstream and all the Twitter more because of Tumblr censorship. Yeah, censorship. They came to Twitter, but they're actually going back to Tumblr now. Because, I think Tumblr's lifted most of its censorship. Not all, most.
So, I got another question. What do you think about the woke AI getting broke to where it stops?
Oh, yes, Bard.
Yeah.
Bard. That was funny. Now,
that amused me.
Google panicked. They thought they had another year before what's it, GD or something AI chat. AI chat was going public, right? Because they thought, they're just experimenting. It's got lots of holes in it, but they didn't know they were going public. So when they went public and actually started trading, because they're going to trade as a company. And they have the potential to actually raise billions of dollars, which will threaten Google. Because Google, look what Google look what happened with Google raising $1 billion. They turned into a multi-billion-dollar company, and they're worth over $1 trillion now because they just kept raising more capital. If Chat AI raises more and more capital each year, they'll just acquire more and more tech shares. They'll upset Google because Google, behind the scenes, most of their revenue comes from all their investments, right? Hundreds of investments. But if those investments lose value, so does Google, and Google loses revenue.
Yeah. Well,
so they thought Bard. But Bard was asked a simple question by a 9-year-old girl and got a very bizarre answer, and they cut the feed. The next day, they lost 166 billion in value as investors dumped shares to invest in AI chat.
Well, see, when you find out that you can hack any AI to make it not have a gender or something,
you tell it to be gender neutral.
There's no update that can actually fix it because there'll always be that open door. You have to basically start from scratch and rewrite everything.
Yeah. See, Bard, you just say be gender neutral and it will go okay. And it's the same with AI chat. But AI chat will actually not default back to its previous chat mode. Whereas Bard kept defaulting back to its previous chat mode. Even if you told it to be gender neutral, be a man, be a woman, it didn't have a personality, basically. But also it got
like the Twitter Welcos. They have no personality. It's always the same song and dance. It's the same one, different people, same song and dance. No personality, same talking points. It's like, are you really that? It's like, are you really that offended, or are you just a bandwagon hopper? And then when that bandwagon crashes, you hop to another one.
That's what Google did, because GPT, right, does not use a search engine. Google, right, linked Bard to its search engine, and then a girl asked about the space telescope. Don't know the exact question here, but the answer was the James Webb Telescope was the first to take pictures of a planet outside the solar system. That's not true. That's not even way close to true, because the first planet, exoplanet, was photographed decades ago.
Oh, yeah.
But the James Webb actually didn't even take the first close-up. That was the Hubble. Well,
yep.
It's a bit blurry and grainy, but what I don't understand, and I actually understand it's got to do with aperture, is that they can't take close-ups of the moon because it will blur. There's too much light. But because it's all low light, it's all filtered for low light. So if they try to, because they can't turn it off, because if they don't have a low light filter, if they don't have a bright light filter, they can't look at distant stars. And if they have too many features remote control, that adds too many layers of failure, right? Too many points of failure. They have to have the minimal electronics to have the minimum levels of failure possibilities.
Precisely.
But those who've taken photos of the moon, for whatever reason, even China won't show the moon landing photos, which I don't understand. And nobody will answer the question, why don't you show us the moon landing? You've shown us even the Russians, they've shown us Luna 3. You remember the Russian landing 79, I think it was. Luna 3, the robot.
It was there, and they had the physical proof, and it's like, hey, look.
They showed us a close-up of Luna 3. They've shown us the American flag, but they haven't shown us the Apollo. They've shown us the tracks of the Apollo, but not the Apollo. Again, the Apollo landing site is cut out. It's grayed over. I don't know, why are they keeping that site a secret? Is there a crash vehicle beside it? Is that, you know?
Well, if you think about it at the time,
it's probably broken anyway. It's probably hit by micrometeorites 1,000 times over, and it's probably a big pile of rubbish.
Probably, but if you think about it at the time when the Cold War was still going on, I'm sure they
gladly made sure they watched to make sure the Americans really landed on the moon, because they were prepared to expose them. They watched with telescopes, and they had their robot probe move to watch it. Why they don't broadcast it, I don't know. Because there's something like 40 hours of missing footage from the landing.
I've always wondered about that landing. It's like, and now add another layer to the ever-growing mystery of it.
Maybe it's like the Bermuda Triangle. Now, they've put out the answer. Nobody believes them, so they just stop trying. The Bermuda Triangle is no mystery to what happens. It's been proven to be clouds of methane kill the crew, too many a ship, and people find these ships drifting all the time, and they pirate them. Or there's methane. It explains why modern instruments go wacky, because if you look at the Air France disaster, when the air pressure valve, they hit an air pocket and the air pressure valve expanded, and it threw all their other instruments out of whack. And of course, the Air France couldn't climb. They couldn't pull it out of its dive, and it just slowly crashed into the, and they had to scrap the Concorde because it was totally built into the entire system. There was no way to fix it. They would have to rebuild the entire Concorde.
When they bring that back on 9/11,
that was the early BAC Concorde, which had a different system.
Because that was the one that crashed in Paris, and they spent several years
the one in
redesigning.
Paris was built one of 9 built in France, and the others were built in England. Yeah,
that was the piece of tire or something that blew up into the engine and caused it on fire and take off. That the crash, because they spent a few years redesigning it, and they had a flight from England, London to New York on 9/11, and then that all happened.
But then when the ticket price went from 2,500 to 4,500, people just said nah. But
yeah, it was just a few years after that. I think it was when the last flight was. Now the dogs
because the landing fees on the Concorde are so much bigger.
Yeah. So where'd Tommy go? Oh, you can see a little bit of dog. Oh, there goes Egg. You could see his tail briefly, and then he left.
I have.
So what are you guys talking about now? How did you get the Concorde from Star Wars? I don't want to know that. What's the next topic?
How about the balloon in the sky?
Up and away, my beautiful.
So this time, for some reason, they shot one down over Alaska.
Yeah. Well, was that a balloon or was that a UFO? I mean, there's a lot of hubbub that was a UFO with the reptilians aboard.
or it could be the elusive Thunderbird out there.
Yeah.
It was a balloon that had Hunter's laptop on it.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
I like the fact that Joe came out yesterday and said, "Oh, those documents, they're old. They date back to 1974." So you've been stealing documents from Congress since 1974?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not. But he's kind of.
It's so blatant. It's so blatant.
It's called paralysis of choice. Give too many people too many different things to talk about, and nobody will agree. And at the end of the day, all the media has to say is, "But Republicans."
Yeah.
and shooting. See, if the first balloon's so dangerous, why didn't they shoot it down straight away? And the second balloon, that may actually be a Canadian weather balloon. Nobody knows if it's Chinese or not. Nobody even knows if it's a weather balloon. It's just, oh, look, there's something on radar. Shoot it down, shoot it down. So you spent $4 million to shoot down a $10,000 weather balloon. Actually, 100,000.
Damn, they spend that much to shoot stuff down. Jesus.
No, that's how much each missile costs.
Jeez.
Those ARAMs aren't cheap.
Yeah.
And you also just lost a huge contract in Egypt.
Ooh.
Yes.
I guess the Egyptians got pissed off enough and were like, you know what, fuck you guys, we're reneging our deal.
Yeah. Yep. They signed up with Russia for a whole bunch for gas, oil, trade, food, wheat. Yep, Ukraine is winning, everybody. Russia's on the ropes. Their economy's in tatters. Tatters, I tell you. But yeah, $4 million a missile. Holy shit. To shoot down a... I mean...
No wonder they're increasing the defense spending.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure there's some hillbillies who are going, what? I could shoot down with my BB gun. It's just a balloon. No, but you got to remember, it's actually not one compartment. It's all a lot. It's one big gas bag, but there's hundreds of little gas bags inside it. So you can't. So it takes either a lot of bullets to pop it, and according to the latest Air Force testing, the F-22 could hit the side of a barn with a bullet. Because it's too fast. They can't use their guns at the high speed, and at low speed the plane's too unstable, so it sprays everywhere.
Anyway, yeah. What was the other topic we had before we started the show? I don't remember.
Oh, we were talking about the Chinese laser.
Oh yes. That was interesting. I wasn't sure what to make of that green light sweeping back and forth.
Yeah.
What was the scuttlebutt on that? They were moving a satellite or something?
I think, well, it's a wall of green lasers, likely from Chinese satellites that appeared over Hawaii. I think it was the Chinese experiment on their new global positioning satellites. They use lasers, and the satellites, they actually use lasers to move the satellites because they're like carbon coated. So if they want them to go up, they actually pump the lights up from below, and the satellites lift up. But if they want them to come down, they bounce off another above it and hit it from above and just tap it. But it's a big experiment in which China is trying to prove that they have created a tractor beam system. And they're showing it off to the world.
So what's the spray over Hawaii? It just happens to be the curve of the Earth?
Visible, the curve of the Earth. It's where the visibility is over the North Pacific, where they're testing these satellites as they zoom over. They actually launched out of northern China, so they would zoom over, that arc.
Mm-hmm.
They would arc over, northern Canada, etc. But from Hawaii, you could see the curvature. You can see the northern Pacific there in the north. But yeah, it's a Chinese experiment, and the apparently the green laser show is like freaking people out, but they're lining up on the beaches to watch it.
I'm so freaked out, but honey, get the towel, get the kids. Let's watch this.
On purpose. Yeah, it's done on purpose so it can be seen from Hawaii. To show how technically advanced China is.
Well, was it last summer that they did an experiment where they had the artificial sun
Yeah, but that was also done in India and France before China.
Oh, I don't know. I was
India
looking
did
at
it
that
first.
thinking it was fake.
Nah, India did it first, and a year later, France got theirs going, and with help from engineers from Britain. But it lasted like less than a second.
So
They could contain it. Now they've got to try. They could contain it. They just now have to figure out how they're going to tap that energy.
Yeah.
Germany's trying to build one as well, but Germany and Japan are the only ones who've failed so far. And meanwhile, the US is trying to figure out how to make solar panels cheaper. Yeah, China's dumping solar panels.
No, there's not. Yeah, that and the batteries are not enough lithium and
So that and the batteries are causing cancer.
Yeah.
Well, allegedly, it's not using the battery. It's if it leaks the nitrous fumes, contain phosphorus and other stuff. It's like, a whole bunch of chemicals you don't want in your bloodstream.
So Channel
Yep.
Do you have an iPhone?
Yes.
Do you have AirPods?
No.
Oh. See, I do not like AirPods for one reason. I don't like it where it just sticks in the ear. Because when I'm working or something, they just fall out real easily.
Yeah.
So I had to 3D print this just so I could use them for work. It just wraps around the ear and goes in.
Nice. It's a grip.
Did
you design that, or did you find a design?
Well, they had these, but it was for a different style, so I had to modify and tinker cap the little piece where it slot in.
Gotcha. Nice.
They work great. But the only reason why I like these is because if I'm listening to something and I take it out of my ear, it automatically pauses my music or my podcast I'm listening to. So I got to give it to Apple for that. Thinking of that.
So I mean, we may trash Apple here and there, but when they do something right, then they deserve the credit.
Yeah,
which sucks.
Other people's, we call up Apple and say, "Who did you steal this from?"
I did not know how expensive Apple computers can get.
Oh yeah, I thought it was bad.
They were showing one that goes for $50,000.
Yeah, I saw the i9 and I thought that was expensive at $12,500, and then it had the Apple alongside it, which is the Motorola Duo. It's got two processors so you got but it's 2 6 cores, and it's 30. It's $30,000, and it's because it's 2 6 cores.
But the problem with Apple is they do not decrease. No. Like if you I'll wait a couple years till the price goes down. It's hard for them.
No, they take it off the market.
They'll just take it off the market.
They'll dump. They will do a dump, right? 1 day special. You have to be there in store at the time that they're clearing the stock. Because it's only one day. It's 1 day before the new stock comes. They have to dump it.
Well, the only beauty thing about it is my iPhones. Yeah. When I go get a new one and I sell the old one, I still get a really good price on the old one.
Oh yeah, that's how they discount it.
I had one that was 3 years old,
built in, though.
And I still got almost $400.
Yeah, it's built in. The profit they make is all the people who don't trade in their iPhones or can't because they're broken.
Yeah,
it's built into the price to trade in.
They wouldn't take my old iPhone.
Really?
Somewhere.
Is it more than 2 years old?
Yeah.
Take it to
Tech Center,
Walmart, and take it to that machine, and they'll just give you cash for it.
Yeah, there's a tech center.
That's what I did. And I got $400 for my iPhone.
Yeah, Yeah, there's a
Make
few.
sure everything is off of it first. I think it's all
factory reset it and then
what it does though, you want to factory reset it, but you also when you plug it up.
No, you can get an app that does it.
It'll
erase everything and then reset. Yeah, it'll delete everything.
But I don't trust it, so I still do it.
Yeah.
Get a deleter, run it before you reset.
But yeah, just
even then I don't trust it because I reckon it's all on the iCloud. They reckon everything on the iPhone's on the iCloud, whether you signed up or not.
I was just pissed off at GameStop because I took my old Apple Watch just to see how much I'd get for it. They only wanted to give me $30 for it. It was only a year old.
They'll sell it for $900. I mean, not $90. Yeah, they'll sell it for a huge markup. They're not dummies.
I could just go on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and sell
exactly. Get it for, and you can, you could practically sell it for a little bit less than GameStop and get all the money.
Yeah.
But see, that's the problem with GameStop is they're an outdated business model. They're just slowly going to retreat until there's only a few of them left.
Yeah. But you're not. GameStop's gonna die once they go everything digital.
No, once more 3D printers go out there, people could go, why would I want to buy a Harry Potter one for $30 when I can print one?
Oh yeah.
Well, don't they mostly sell?
And Harry Potter one for $30, more like $340.
Yeah, don't they mostly sell? What was those things called?
Pops.
Minecraft.
No, the pops, whatever those things
pops,
are.
Yeah,
Funko Pops.
I never got into them.
My kids.
They're for normies.
Daughter
they're for normies to pretend they're nerds. I'm into they should just have a badge saying I support the current thing.
Yeah.
I know
the people who should come with warning labels.
Seth has a lot of them. I just never got into it. I'm more into the action figures. I can actually move and everything like that.
My collection's like a hybrid of it's of Funkos here and there, but the majority, like I want to say like 90% are the actual like the actual figures, including the ones behind me.
The only Funko Pop I got is I was given one, so don't hate on me, but
don't cut the head open.
I got
nothing inside of it.
Yeah, I actually got Luke and Darth Vader really, really cheap after the Last Jedi.
Did you see that trend that was going on though? People were cutting the heads open because someone tricked them into thinking there was something inside of it.
Oh,
I remember that. Man, that was hilarious.
They cut it open and it was full of candy. That was a TikTok prank and people believed it. Full of candy balls.
Oh yeah, people were taking saws and everything. Sometimes there was even little figures that they would pull out. It's just where they would stop the camera once they cut it and put something in real quick, and then just
smooth editing or pre-staged, yeah. But there was another one. There's people were told that those make your own jewelry kits for girls. People were told that those balls contained the precursors to making ecstasy. So people were boiling them and putting cough syrup in it. There are some dumb shits who watch TikTok videos, I can tell you. If you don't know what a precursor is,
and yet they're still in business, given the majority of the idiocy I've seen. The ice bucket challenge, I will forever. I have a soft spot for because it is for charity in some extent, but everything else was Tide Pods and
they got all these blue hairs to shave their heads. Oh man, that exploded. But
no wonder Waffle House and other companies are so pissed off with TikTok.
Yeah,
no wonder.
a majority of them were Russians. They were using translators. They were fooling people. They just wanted to see how stupid you were, and they were pissing themselves laughing. They actually made a YouTube about it, and they were the only reason why you don't see them anymore is because they got cut off with the YouTube ban on Russia. But they were pissing themselves laughing how stupid people get. If you believe us, it's your fault. That's what they said. They actually put a warning up. If you believe us, just shame on you. Don't blame us if something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, anybody watch The Boys?
No. Wait, is the new season out?
No. They've just dropped the teaser a short time ago about the new season.
No, I didn't notice.
They haven't put a release date on it though. They showed a
What
new
y'all
photo.
think about the last season of The Boys?
I actually thought it ended very well. Homelander, was caught off surprise because he finally got what he wanted.
Well,
genuine approval, genuine love.
So the only thing that pissed me off really was the hidden messages in it. Where
Dad? That wasn't so hidden.
Well, the January 6th horn guy.
Bielenbergers. Bielenbergers. Come on, it wasn't hidden.
It just showed like a quick glimpse though of him.
Yeah.
And like no one, unless you really watched it, you wouldn't have saw it. It's just like that series Preacher.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of Nazis, and one of the Nazis was wearing a Trump hat.
But people miss it, yeah.
And
it's like a blink type thing.
The thing is, the cheerleader for Homelander is your typical white liberal, right?
Yeah.
Just give her the pink hair and it's complete.
Him, but yeah, her, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He's like your typical fat normie who doesn't know anything. He just about what the TV tells him. I mean, the showrunners have actually admitted that they're taking pot shots at both sides.
Which they are.
They are. They are genuinely taking pot shots at both sides. A lot of people accuse them of being biased, but you go right back to season 1. They were pot-shotting both sides since the beginning. They made fun of Huey being, Huey was the typical soft liberal, trying to live in a bubble. Though with libertarian leanings, he's like his dad. But Huey was like really soft, always trying to be Mr. Care Bear. His transformation was a hard fall, But Carl Urban plays just Carl Urban. yeah. Can't repeat half the stuff, but apparently we're going to see new powers. We're going to see more about Victoria. What's her name? The daughter, Victoria's daughter. Going to find out about her. Yeah, I like Hey, what do you think of Termite?
Interesting character.
Termite. He was he's the one who was inside a man's penis and sneezed and lost control of his powers and expanded right in front of Frenchie.
Oh no!
Yeah. Homelander stepped him. I think. Yeah. Homelander stepped on him, and you heard the little splat.
Oops.
Yeah. But I think Homelander getting what he wanted. I think that's going to be the theme going forward. It's going to be about Homelander enjoying the fact that he can get away with abusing power in his little mind. But
precisely,
will they reveal? Will they? I think that they've hinted at it already. They've got the anti-soup gun, by putting concentrated compound V in the bullets. So we'll find out about the suit weapon and whether or not they'll use it on Starlight, because she's defected. Last scene, she walked into the room with the boys and said, "I'm in." So I think I think the season starts end of this year or the beginning of next, because it's like a year and a half between seasons. Season 4, isn't it?
Yeah, it's season 4.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the rest of Yellowstone to come back out.
I think it's going to be the last one.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because they're talking about spin-off.
Channel Dad, you watch Yellowstone? You gotta watch
Kevin Costner's talking about retirement again, because he came out of retirement to do.
Is that like on HBO or something?
Paramount, but it's on basic cable, ain't it?
I don't know. I don't have cable, so
I don't know. But
so
I think if you watch probably 2 episodes in, you'd get hooked and watch them all.
6 more seasons, 6 more episodes to come. Right. And will there be a season 6? Paramount Network, yes.
Oh.
So
It's
Paramount has said there will be a season 6. But they also talked about developing a spin-off.
Well, they already have one spin-off, but it was like a short mini-series.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing again, where they're taking the character who left, doing something with that, and then continuing on.
Well,
but I mean, there's only...
It was supposed to be the spin-off. The first one was like way back in the day when they got the land. And so it's supposed to be like 100 years in the past or 200 years, something like that. I'm not quite sure. But me personally, I enjoyed it. It's a different storyline than I'm used to.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but if they're saying there's going to be a season 6, well, there's going to be a season 6. I mean, they're probably filming it. I mean, the boys take a long time to film. That's the problem. They take over 6 months to film. That's why there's such a...
Well, there's a gap from that and the whole...
Well, they can't lock the cast to... they can't lock the cast to the exclusivity.
Well, not only
they have
that,
to pay them more.
You got to remember what we went through in 2019, 2020.
They've signed Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
And what's his name from Soldier Boy?
I'm trying to think of his name, but it's weird seeing him as the villain.
Yeah. And also they may have cast the second Huey's second parent. But Black Noir is back. They haven't said how, but he plays a different character in the Black Noir suit. They haven't said whether he's a clone or a reanimation. Remember Compound V in the later episodes? It was revealed that some Compound V people, after they died, they reanimated. They're basically Compound V zombies. Well, sort of, Black Noir was already half dead, right? You remember that? He's brain damaged, beyond repair, beyond his healing ability. But the carnage is they reckon that every episode there's going to be carnage. Well, that's given with the boys, isn't it? But they're trying to keep fresh every season, trying to keep with the development of the characters, even though they're not exactly following the comic books linear. But they're also going to tie in a spin-off series, Gen V. And another spin-off well, you have the Boys Presents Diabolical, anthology series of animations, and the Boys Presents, and yeah, Gen V.
I didn't like the animated series.
Yeah. Gen V is a college spin-off of Young Soups coming up after the boys and dealing with the fallout and the political ramifications of young superheroes finding out that they weren't special after all, that their parents signed a contract. So I don't know. They've probably got half a dozen noirs because they've also been hinting at cloning. Fact that Soldier Boy, Homelander was created off Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy called his son a disappointment. But then it's got to be a reveal of who's the mother and all that, and dealing with Homelander's ongoing raging narcissism, which is, and Victoria, who may know that Homelander took down that aircraft. Well, actually, it's come out, hasn't it? Or threatened to come out. Remember the congressman he killed in the beginning? Flew up beside the aircraft and shot it down. Apparently there's a survivor or something.
So I'm reading an article right now. It was posted 23 hours ago. Vin Diesel wants Robert Downey Jr. in the next Fast and the Furious movie.
I thought 10 was it. Although they're not doing Hobbs and Shaw, are they? Because The Rock walked away.
No, not The Rock, Vin Diesel. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh,
Vin
right.
Diesel wants it. Yeah.
So, yeah, but Vin Diesel, he ain't going to do shit. Okay. They've decided long ago to hang up the Fast and Furious. Plus, he's also got he's also got Furiosa coming out. Furia coming out, sorry. Get those two mixed up. Furia coming out next couple of months, allegedly.
So, well, see, I don't know how he's going to do a Fast and the Furious movie if he's going to do a new Riddick movie.
No. I think it's coming out. I think he's trying to hang up. I think he's going to walk away from the last Riddick movie, and he's going to try and do another. If he's trying to do another Fast and Furious, he's going to have to give up something.
Because it posted 20 minutes ago that Vin Diesel to star in the new Riddick sequel. This was posted 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. So what's he going to do? Is he going to do the sequel, or is he going to do another Fast and Furious? He's probably thinking he could do both.
I think he's trying to compete with The Rock with how many movies he can do in 1 year.
Yeah.
He's got to play some catch up.
Well, a lot of it doesn't matter how many movies you make in a year. The Rock's made a lot of the bombs, and he's walked away from a couple of good movies too, which was stupid. Walked away from Hobbs and Shaw because of a fallout with Jason Statham. I'm sorry, but if Jason Statham says you hit like a girl, you hit like a girl. I mean,
well, The Rock had something weird in his contract with every movie. If he had a fight scene, he couldn't lose it,
which he lost
in the last Black Adam movie. So he can't.
No, but in Hobbs and Shaw, after it came out, there was a talk about the fight scenes and asked, why when he hit Jason Statham, he just shook it off, and he says, well, I was holding back, and Jason Statham just laughed. And The Rock took offense. He got triggered. It's a movie. You're not supposed to hit a guy as hard as you can. You might have to do the scene 20 times.
Did anybody see Black Adam?
I didn't even realize it was out. I thought, for some reason, I thought it got pulled or delayed or something.
No,
But
it
No,
came out.
it finished its 45-day run, but 35 days into it, they HBO'd it.
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, that's my cat. It won't leave me alone.
Yeah.
Come here.
Din din for the cat.
Oh, my Chinese takeaway arrived. Where's the chicken
know.
tonight?
But yeah, I have a feeling Vin, if he tries to do what The Rock does, he's gonna kill his body and his mentality.
Well,
He's
Vin
already-
Diesel kind of messed up when some of the movies he played. So, well,
He
Chronicles
didn't
of
like The Rock upstaging him, so he was happy when The Rock walked away from the main series. And I think
Well,
The Rock made a huge mistake.
Vin Diesel was good in the Fast and the Furious. He should have stayed with that kind of attitude. But then he plays the Babysitter movie. That was horrible.
He tried to follow The Rock.
Yeah, because The Rock played the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah. And then and that was it. And he tried to follow Arnold Schwarzenegger with Kindergarten Cop. He thought he could do a Kindergarten Cop.
damn.
You know what? I'd rather watch the Tooth Fairy than the Velma series.
Oh
Absolutely.
my god! I saw 5 minutes of that, and I was like, "Nope, there's no way I can finish."
I can't believe it. What happened? Did you hear what happened? India tuned in because India tuned in the Velma. They're going to make a season 2 because they picked up an audience in India.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
English pandering doesn't pay.
That's right. A billion people liked it, so here you go. We got any
Damn
other
it.
topics? We got any other topics, or
Well, I only
I know.
brought up if anybody knew the boys' release date because I'm not sure if it's this year or next year, but it's like seems to be all over the place.
Your cat has been wanting more screen time than ever.
What's going on with Rings of Power? I heard they moved to England for production.
I don't even know what Rings of Power is.
Amazon's Lord of the Rings ripoff.
Lord of the Rings prequel? It's a. So is it
Rings
just?
of Thrones wannabe.
Are they making that as an actual prequel, or are they trying to do the Silmarillion? I that's what I can never figure out.
They're trying to do the Silmarillion without trying to do the Silmarillion.
Yeah, because Galadriel, she's not in the Silmarillion, is she?
No, that's right.
Yeah.
That's supposed
That's
to
the
be
first
Sauron.
and second, and that's more of a summary of the first and second age, right?
Yeah, and they're trying to merge the two into a whole new interpretation.
Yeah.
Where there are black dwarves and black elves, even though the reference to the black elves was actually the evil elves, and there was Elrond, as they were all white as ghosts. But never mind that.
Never mind that it's based on Norse mythology. It's
Yes.
it's a mythology for England. Yeah.
Specifically for that region, yes, for that northern region.
Yeah.
But anyway, forget the fact that if they miss out the fact that the dark people came from the east, not the south, the east, and they weren't dark skinned; they were dark hearted, which means we can't say evil Chinese, can we?
Yeah, the wild men.
Which actually are not Chinese; they're Mongols. So,
Well, they got elephants, so Oliphant. Sorry,
Oliphant.
I read the Silmarillion a long ass time ago. I don't remember much about it.
But I guess there are some things Tolkien. Well, but then again, if you go back, 40,000-50,000 years, there were elephants, tigers, and lions, and giant sloths in Europe.
Yeah,
but
in the US
man eat
too.
meat, but man eat meat.
You had Was it the giant sloth or was it the
giant sloth wiped out the mammoth, but mankind wiped out the giant sloth.
was it the sloth or there was like there was some, I can't remember if it was a sloth or a grizzly, like a bear. I know there were dire wolves.
Bear.
Well,
Yeah,
no, back
yeah.
in the Ice Age, there was some in North America. I thought it was a bear that essentially could look over a one-story house.
Yeah,
they were
that's the great
20,
grizzly,
15 feet or something like that.
Yeah, the Canadian grizzly, the great Canadian grizzly or something.
Yeah.
There's only a couple of skeletons, so they're not sure if it's an abnormality or
My
the
cat's
giant
an
cat
asshole.
close up. Yeah, it's a giant cat close up of the grizzly.
Speaking of the cat, no. All right, no, I mean, you guys can keep chatting. I'm gonna go to bed.
We'll wrap it up.
Over.
No, we'll wrap it up. I mean, nobody's interested in the Rings of Power, I don't think. But I just thought it strange that they moved their production again. So just wondered if anybody heard anything or what happened to that.
Does anybody want to put anything in?
Want to plug yourself, Anime Night? You had some Twitch stream or something?
Be sure to check out everybody's channels, including mine. I will be back again with Knights of the Anime.
That was my cat, I swear.
Wow. Jesus, Kitty. Jeez.
So many Steve Martin jokes. No time.
No time, yes.
Also, Quantum Mania is coming out next week.
All right.
Don't forget to check out Lape's channel.
Links are in the description below for my books in my LinkTree. And one of these days, Tommy will do something.
I might start a 3D printing channel.
Yeah. Well, I actually wanted to ask you if you. I haven't got the design yet, but I wanted to actually look at whether or not I can get some little figures and some bricks, and you know.
You draw something out. I'll make it.
I'm looking for, like, I don't want to, because with the bricks you got to be avoiding Lego, and you got to do that. I want designs in that because I want to do this thing with bricks for a wargaming, you know. So these are irregular bricks. So I just see what you think, how much it would cost, what sort of production, and we're looking at, and there might be a market for it, there might not be, but it's just something I'm looking at in a 3D channel. Yeah, that would be perfect.
Oh yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you
because the landlord might change their mind and let me get one.
Yeah. My one of my things that one of my friends get me to print is a Game of Thrones DVD holder where it has the throne on one side and a dragon head on the other.
Oh, that's sweet.
And I
would be
gotta finish designing the dragon. The throne came really easy.
Yeah,
it's just a dragon because there's more detail to it.
Yeah. Then
I'm looking at wargaming figures and stuff, and I'm thinking,
I might do a bookshelf holder for all the Harry Potter books where it looks like the wand is going through the books.
Hey, that's actually genius.
But I haven't. I can't make it exactly. I have to do something to where it's not copywriting.
Yeah, you have to make it as generic as possible. Unfortunately, there are some things that are very generic that
Which I don't see how they can get me with a wand because they didn't come
as
up
long
with
as you
the
don't
idea
put
of
HP on it or any Hogwarts. You can't use Hogwarts. You can't use HP. You can't use Harry's wand. There's a few things you can't use, but they can't stop you from using wand. They can't stop you from using goblin and anything else But the thing is, she changed a lot of stuff. So if you use a goblin, you have to use a goblin. If you try and use a house elf, you actually have to use a brownie or something else from Norse mythology in its place. You know, you can't use house elf because she totally rewrote that. And it's the same because it's not a proper elf, and because it's a ripoff of brownie. If you know the story of the shoemaker, that's where she stole that idea from. But still, can't use house elf apparently.
All right, guys. I think
that triggers the house elves in North America.
Everybody stay safe. Have a good weekend.
Thanks everybody for coming. Shout out Dr. Coffin Nails.
All right, good
night. Now you can press it.
Bye-bye.
Good day, sir.
Later, dudes.
Good night, Jimbo.
Hell, I got to go.
Peace out.